This is definitely going to be one of the easier lessons that we have in this module, which is going to be our settings page. So let's start with that. I have a blank settings page. I believe we made that earlier. If not, go ahead and make that settings page and let's get started. Let's drag that nav bar over. Again, every time, just going to drag that nav bar on, snap it to the corners, just like so. We'll give this layout, again, a column. That's majority of the time. You're going to want that column formatting. Let's go ahead and fix our layout of the nav bar so it takes up all of the space. Give it that 0, just like so. Great. So we got our nav bar set up. Let's just add a few pieces of information and then a few inputs where the user can update some of their profile features. So we'll have a text box. We want to display to the user what the page is. So we'll say something like profile settings or something to indicate that they're on their profile page. Now let's go ahead and give this a layout. Let's left align the text. Make this say 18, give it a bold, make it black, and then let's change the layout. So right now the layout is not ideally set up. Let's uncheck the fixed width. So we'll uncheck that, give it a 0. Let's give it a margin left and right and 20. Let's say 40 actually. Let's do 40. That looks a lot better. And again, we don't actually have to take up this full space. We could do something like max width at, say, 50%. But again, it doesn't really matter. It's going to look pretty much the same. So let's leave it like that. Now that we have our profile settings and we can see what page we're on, let's go ahead and add the information about the user. So we probably want to do a few things. The first would be drag a text box over to label our input. And then we want an input field. Now we're either going to display something here or allow the user to input. So we'll have the input field and we'll drag it on like so. Let's move that away from the edge of the page a little bit. You could honestly also put these in a group. There may not be a purpose for right now, but it's good practice to put all your elements in groups. Now let's change the layout a little bit. Let's push it away from the edge. We do want to give it that left align though. Black text, left align, let's click that. Now let's do the margin of 40 and 40. 40. And then let's do the same thing over here. Let's add that 40 and 40 margin on the left and right. Great. So let's change the text. On the appearance, we'll say name. And then for the placeholder here, we can say current user's name. So let's actually put the current user and select their name. So that will display whatever name they currently have, and then they can input and change. Of course, we're going to have a submit button at the end. What else do we want them to be able to do, though? Well, let's select this and copy and paste. We'll copy and paste this. And we'll give a top margin here of our name. That way we can just give some separation. So come to layout. Let's give it a top of 50. And let's do our bio. So let's update our bio. And here we can display, let's actually make it a multi-input. So instead of that regular input, we'll have a multi-line input. Go ahead and display here. And then let's give it that same layout. So let's give it a left and right margin of 40. That way it's aligned with our other information. Then they can type out their bio. Now let's display their current bio in the placeholder. Or you have initial content. So that's the thing with multi-line input. You can have initial content in there. Then they can rewrite it. So let's do that. Let's have an input. We'll do current user, select their bio, and then that's what's going to be displaying in that multi-line. Now let's add one more thing, and then we can do a little bit of restyling of the elements, but for the most part, we're going to leave it pretty basic. So for the image, let's select our picture uploader. Remember, because you're going to be probably uploading a picture, and let's change our layout of this really quick. Let's give it that 40 left and right, as well as a 50 top margin, just to move it away a bit. And that's in line. Now let's make it a circle. Let's see what that looks like. Let's go to appearance, scroll down. See, we have a solid and roundness of 5. Let's make it 100. And then you can see it's kind of circular, but the width is a little big. Let's make it a 200 width. Now you can see it's a bit more of a circle, still not quite. Let's do 150 pixels. And that looks even worse, so we'll do 175. And that looks like a circle, so we can go ahead and leave it like that. They'll be able to click and upload an image to change their profile picture. Now let's give them a button to actually perform the functionality. So let's grab a button, drag it on the screen. We'll come to layout, add that 40 left and 40 right. And for this, we'll just do a 20 top margin just so they can submit right there. Let's change the text to submit. Now let's go through and update our widths. So right now, they're probably not great. We have a fixed width of 285. Let's, of course, make this a percentage. So 20%. Let's do the same here at 20%. Let's actually make that one 30%, just a little bigger. And then for our submit button, we can probably leave this as a fixed width in pixels, but I still recommend doing a percentage. Let's do 20. And there we go. So we have everything dynamic now, so it should move with the page and be more responsive. Now let's update this information. Again, we've done something like this similar time and time again, but I want to show you just how easy it is to update this. So let's go to edit, we'll add a workflow, come to our button, and of course you already know the thing we're changing is a user. So we want to make a change. Now what do we want to change? Well, let's add all the fields and see what we have. We have the photo, the name. We don't want to change favorited properties here. We don't want to change account type. So this is what we're going to change, the bio, which we can simply get from our multi-line input, A, and its value. And then the name, which we can get from input A. So where's our input current user's name? And we'll select the value. And then we have our profile photo, which we can just get from that file uploader. Just come down and we can select our picture uploader A, select its value. Just like that, we have a user settings page. They're super easy to set up, but we're missing probably an important UX component, meaning when they submit, nothing happens. Let's go and set up an alert that we learned about in previous lessons and see what we can't make happen here. So when they click submit, let's display an alert. Let's see, let's display right here, right under that button that just says something like success or something along those lines. Let's say profile updated. Now let's change the style a little bit because it looks disgusting. Let's go green. Let's do our background color of a green as well and see what that looks like. Looks a little better. Let's change this color also to be a green. There we go. So they can see when they click submit, this profile updated will occur. And let's change the layout. So let's move it over a little bit. We'll give it that 40 left and right. 40 left, 40 right. Then let's give it a top margin of, say, 10 pixels. Just like that. And let's make it align to this button. So let's give it that 20% width. And again, this will only display when they click submit. Otherwise, it's going to be hidden. But now we have to trigger it. So let's come back to our submit. And let's edit our workflow. We'll add our step, come and select our element actions. We want to show a message, and then it's going to have that alert profile updated. Of course, you can add a conditional here to be super safe, and you can change the fade in and out. We're going to leave it like that. That is how you set up a basic profile page where a user can update their information. So let's head over to the next lesson where we're going to learn about how to integrate our Google API keys so we can obtain our location and make sure we're displaying that correctly. I'll see you in that lesson.